Welcome to gargroup.net. I'm your host, Wally Sarkisian. Let's get into it. How Pashinyan came to power. Revolution? Was there corruption? Of course there was. Was there corruption require revolution? Is Armenia was more corrupt than many countries? I don't think so. Israel. There's more corruption in Israel. More Israeli prime ministers end up in jail than any other country. But they didn't do a revolution. So do other countries. So what was this revolution for? The revolution was against Karabakh. This guy came with revenge for 10 years. 10 years. He hated Karabakh. He hated diaspora because diaspora were supporting Karabakh. Was he recruited by others? We just don't know yet. Time will tell. But what we see, the way we analyze, definitely this man was doing somebody else's work. You know, to have a revolution, you need to have at least thousands of people, political prisoner, people in the street starving, no food. Remember French Revolution? The people were asking for bread and the kings and queens were saying, go eat cake. There was a reason for it, for revolution. Not this guy. You know, Armenian, ask yourself, are you safer now than before? Do you really have more food now than you had before? This idiot cannot even protect your border. Every inch of your border is now protected by Russian. Are you really safer now? How did this guy fool you with this revolution? It was not a revolution. It was a decoy to destroy Karabakh. Get in your head. This guy fooled you. Yeah. Kocharian, Sarkisian, I'm sure they had some corruption. Because when you get in power, people corrupt you. You don't corrupt. People comes, oh, you won the war, you know, here is a land for you, here is a car for you, you know, and people corrupt. There is no leader in the world that doesn't get corrupted, except for probably few. See, his goal was to destroy Karabakh. So he disseminated Karabakh hatred into some segment of Armenian society, and they bought it. So have a look at just this too, so you understand how deeply this guy have infiltrated, penetrated within certain segment of Armenian society. Look at this.
Artsakh հայ չեն?
Չէ, Ղարաբաղցի է։ Ո՞րց են հայ։
Այսինքն նրա Ղարաբաղցին ալբանացի է։
Աբա ի՞նչ է։ Կարող է ֆրանկ։
Իսկապես զարմացրիք, գիտեք։
Դե զարմացեք։
Ղարաբաղցիք հայ չեն?
Չէ, Ղարաբաղցի է։ Ո՞րց են հայ։
Այսինքն նրա Ղարաբաղցին ալբանացի է։
Աբա ի՞նչ է։ Կարող է ֆրանկ։
Իսկապես
You see that? Karabakh is not Armenian. Karabakh is depend Albanians. And they're saying exact same word as Azerbaijani Aliyev saying. They're saying all those churches in Karabakh were Albanian Christians. So how did this guy got corrupted? Who corrupted him? There's one man. His name is Pashinyan. Look at this other Pashinyan supporter. In public. It's not in private room, because I personally heard a lot of anti-Karabakh in Armenia. But here is another one.
Մայրի։
Ինչ, ադրբեջանի ադրբեջանի կազմի մեջ։
Այսինքն
Որ
էլի
ես գրավել են դուք ապրել եք գիտեք էտա։
Փաստորեն Արցախը մերը չէ։
Մերը չէր։ Բաքվի
Քեշկը գան ինչ է, անհավար դրության մեջ գցում է։
չէ։
Խաչակաց հարցեր ես տալ, մի
Ինչ որ կասկած կար, որ Շուշին մերն է։
Այո։ Կասկած կար որ մերը չէր։
Բախին զոհեցին, եթե իր ասել տային։
Գրավել էին, մեր սպարապետը գրավեց իր տղաներով։
Եթե
Ռեկտորին մտան համասարան, ռեկտորին որ ասին։
Do I have to say any more? Where those people got their information? The Artsakh is not Armenian. Shushi is not Armenian. Armenian took it by force. Where they got it? And those are publicly, in the street, in a public square, those are all Pashinyan supporters. This is what Pashinyan did. His revolution was against Karabakh, not corruption. Corruption, he used it like in military when they put a decoy, so and they a couple of tanks, so the enemy know, oh, they're coming from north. But the real enemy is coming from south. That's what he did. His target was Karabakh. You see, you cannot go to war with divided nation. You can't. No country win when you're divided. You can't. You only go to war when you're united. That's why first war Armenian won, because they were united. He divided Armenian by design, split Armenians in multi pieces, and then go to war. How? Show me a country, divided country, ever won a war. Never. That's what he did. He split Armenia in pieces. Corruption has nothing to do. Yes, there are corruption every country. This is what this man did. The election, the revolution was anti-Karabakh. The war was anti-Karabakh because you saw all the war. And in the last segment, we show you how the first Karabakh war they won because Armenia was united. And this war was a disarray. He threw a bunch of young people, 19, 20-year-old in the truck, says, go there and fight. And we know that, all the news coming, how disorganized was. Somebody didn't want to fight. Pashinyan people say, why I'll go fight for the Karabakh? We hear those stories. And others. So that's why they lost the war. They didn't lose the war because Armenia could not fight. If you could fight 44 days, definitely you could fight for 45th day too. You see? It was planned. The war was planned to fail, was designed to fail. This election was 100% anti-Karabakh. 100%. Because they said, we agree with Pashinyan, we don't want Karabakh. This is what this election was for. That's why 50% they didn't vote it, because they were against that. 30% of Armenians, this segment, they hate diaspora, they hate Tashnakh, they hate Karabakh, and they hate a couple other things. But now it's coming public because they have their man in power. They could say anything they want. I heard this. When I was in Armenia, I heard many times this anti-Karabakh stuff. Even in public. So when I speak from experience. I travel to Armenia every year twice. I met every kind of people. Let me show you, like this was like a couple of months after Pashinyan, children, how Pashinyan corrupted mind of teenager. Here is, listen.
What do you guys think is about Pashinyan? How about 1 year from now, nothing happened? So you like who you like more, the president or the prime minister? How about Sarkisyan? Why? How he could be stupid here for 10 years he was president? But thank you. Corruption. Thank you very much.
Do you see that? Do you see how Pashinyan put the seed of hatred even on those teenagers? You know, from the elderly woman to the middleman to the teenagers. He corrupted the entire society. I just wanted to bring to this your attention that I don't just speak because I have nothing else to do. I traveled Armenia from one end to another. I spoke to member of parliament, the street people, the taxi driver. I know what is going on. You may be sitting someplace in diaspora and they just keep making those comments and he won election fairly, a foreign observer, yeah. So do Azerbaijan, so do Erdogan, so do all those dictators, so do Belarus. They did too. So, they would say in Armenian, Qarabağ lakotnerekan, մեր երկիր ավիրեցին, թալանեցին. There was all Pashinyan injected this hatred into this certain segment of society. So we're going to go through, explain some other things. The reason all of us, lots of Armenians, myself, we think this was planned. Pashinyan planned these things. Because think of this. For 44 days, this guy lied to Armenian people saying, we're winning, in one hand. On the other hand, he was making propaganda for the Turkish drone. That's why now you see Turkey selling billions of dollars of drones. In fact, Turkey sold more drone after Qarabağ war than all other wars. See, the Turks know how to do these things. We know that. Look, Syria. How many Turkish soldiers Turkey sent to Syria? He brought in the Syrians. He divided the Syrians. He trained them with American money, sending there the Syrians to kill each other. They did the same thing in Libya. They're everywhere. In Armenia, you saw he brought the Syrian terrorists. That's what Turks do. And you tell me a Pashinyan exception, the Turks cannot corrupt him? What proof you have they didn't corrupt him? And beside the 44th day, in the 45th day, he go ahead and capitulate and sign the document without consulting the president, without consulting his own parliament, without consulting his own foreign minister. And now you ask yourself why this guy would go secretly sign all these deals that without consulting with anybody. Ask yourself why. Why he didn't consult to anybody, he just went and signed it. This was Pashinyan's plan. First week, the Russians wanted to stop this war. The second week, they want to stop. Pashinyan said, yet, no. Why? Pashinyan waited until Azerbaijan freely walked into Shushi. No resistance, no fighting. Next day, Pashinyan goes capitulate. Literally next day after the Azerbaijani walked into Shushi without any resistance, Pashinyan signed it. Why? Ask yourself, why Pashinyan didn't sign the first week, the second week, the third week? He waited until Azerbaijan walked into Shushi. See those guys when they were talking about Shushi? That you know why. Because he wanted to give them that. He, in fact, even gave Kalbachar to them as a bonus. Pashinyan also gave $1 billion military equipment to Azerbaijan. Because when he signed the ceasefire, he told Armenia, run, leave everything behind. $1 billion of military equipment Pashinyan left for Azerbaijan. So Armenia will have no more military to go fight. You tell me these things just happened, the Turks and the Azeri decided to go to war? Pashinyan didn't know about this? For 30 years, the Turks tried to penetrate Karabakh. They couldn't do it. Until they had this guy in the power. See? The war was planned, the election was planned, this last election was planned. No country in the world that you lose a war, thousands of dead and injured, you lose your army, you lose your land, and people vote for you overwhelmingly? Where in history you ever heard this? He corrupted the mind of this segment of Armenian people, created this hatred for Karabakh and diaspora, and got away with this crime. He waited. He waited until Azerbaijan freely walked into Shushi. Then he goes sign secret deal. Ask yourself, I keep repeating this, why he secretly signed without consulting with anybody? Why? And next day he was doing this propaganda of communication, opening the borders, and all that crap. And he now cannot even protect Armenian border, never mind Artsakh. Artsakh is gone. He's asking Russia to come. All this myth in Armenia that Pashinyan is pro-Russian, anti-Russian, pro-West, against West, it's all BS. He was only anti-Karabakh, period. He was no pro-anybody. He was anti-Karabakh, period. At the end, history will find out that this is what this guy did. Those people you saw, this guy, let me just run it again.
Զարմացիկ հայ չեն։
Չէ, Ղարաբաղցի է։ Ո՞րց են հայ։
Այսինքն նրա
ոնց է հայ մի հատ ինձ
Ղարաբաղցին ալբանացի է։
Աբա ինչ է, կարող է ֆրանկ։
Իսկապես զարմացրիք, գիտեք։
See, this guy, he didn't invent this. Somebody put this in his head. There are thousands of thousands people like this in Armenia. They created this hatred. So it doesn't matter if tomorrow Armenians lose even Sinuk, these people will still vote and support Pashinyan because he brainwashed them. Think about it. This one man, this guy in the middle, have caused more damage to Armenian nation than anybody else in Armenian history. He depressed Armenian nation. He wanted this Karabakh destruction. So, because Karabakh was the hope, inspiration for Armenians around the world, that yes, they can do it again. He said, let me show you. He did what those guys beside them wanted. He kept them happy. He made Turkey sell billions of dollars of drone. That's what he did. But you know, Armenians are saying, oh, well, you know, Kocharians and this and that. Yeah, they are probably corrupt, I don't know. But you don't do revolution for some president, prime minister is corrupt. He brought all those street people, put them in government. They have no clue what they're doing. He sent us, I don't have the picture here, as English teacher to be ambassador, the most important country in the world, United States. He sent his press secretary to be ambassador in Europe. Everything is coronism. And he is complaining about the previous government. He is the most corrupt government. He came in power, he corrupted the institutions, he put all those street protesters in power. And that's why, you know, he could do anything he wants. And he himself says, you know, he's a dictator. He said that. Karabakh hatred was everywhere in Armenia. Look at this. Look at this is a map in Armenia. This map, not how in the street they have those fences. Look at that map of Armenia and how they scramble on Karabakh. The hatred of Karabakh, Pashinyan distributed massively. These elections all were anti-Karabakh. And diaspora have to understand this. They cannot say, oh, well, they won, so we need to support it. No, you don't support it. You don't support it. This guy is anti-Armenian. You don't support it. There is a small segment support him. All Armenians didn't vote for this election. He basically hijacked this election how he hijacked his revolution. Yeah. Bunch of street people walked in the street, took over the government. Literally, street protester took over the government. They're running the government. This is what Armenians want. So did Pashinyan brought or their Azerbaijani agent in Armenia? Well, let's see what this guy says. He's Jewish and he's Russian national. He's Israeli citizen. Spent lots of time in Armenia. He was in Karabakh. He was writing about Armenia in Karabakh, and Azerbaijan kidnapped him in Belarus dictator handed him, and he was tortured, and then, Israelis and Russian lobbied and freed him. And he spent lots of time in Armenia. He knows a thing or two. Let's listen to him. What happened to him and in Armenia if there is any Azeri agent. Here it is.
I can predict that within a number of years, Armenia could be dangerous for me and my family in case that the Azerbaijani and Turkish investment will brought to Armenia and the borders will be opened. Even nowadays, I receive number of threats here inside Armenia. I was called, for example, once I was called to Russian embassy here in Yerevan, and they told me, be careful here, even in Yerevan, because Yerevan is full of Azerbaijani agents. It's not now. It began from the revolution 2 years ago in April 2018. So what can I tell you? Armenia now is a third world country, dependent in 99% on Russia. So you said Armenia doesn't have its foreign ministry. I think for now, a Russian foreign ministry in Moscow is enough, both countries. It's kind of a bad joke, but still, black humor. Mm-hmm. So that's it.
We heard lots of those stories. We heard from Armenians. The Azerbaijani Turkish agents are in Armenia. This war, that's one of the reasons how you lose a war. Because enemy within. The Turks created enemy within. And they knew everything about Armenia, where they were, or the military mapped, everything. Somebody let them do it. That's what he did. He drew the red line to destroy Karabakh from the first day when he started his first revolution. He launched the massive violent protest against the government in 2008. 10 people died, 100 if not 1,000 people injured. When you think about this guy, one man, this one man, you look at this biography. He went to school, he was kicked out because of bad behavior. He started his business, he failed. He was a lousy journalist making a couple of $100 a month to survive. His wife was working, taking care of his children. He never accomplished anything in his life. 45-year-old. He has no military experience. He has no business experience, never run business, never managed business. He has no diplomatic experience. He has no negotiating skill. That's why when negotiating with the ceasefire, he didn't know what to do. The Russian and Azeris write the document, he just signed it. This guy is a loser in his life to become a prime minister, leader of a country. Think about this a minute. Go read his biography. In fact, if you go read his biography, Saddam Hussein biography, Stalin biography, if you change their pictures, you would know different. This is exactly how all of those people came in power. They were all failures in their life. Because that's easy ways to become in power. Why go to school? Why get PhD? You don't need that. Just protest in the street, go to jail a couple of times, and bingo. You're now head of the revolution. And also grow your beard, now that's why he grows beard now. That is a revolutionary. It's a bunch of thugs, they came in power, they control the country. And nobody speaks this the way I am speaking. This is a fact. This guy was a loser. He could not accomplish anything in his life. Revolution was the second choice. He hated Karabakh. All right, let's concentrate on corruption. And he got in power. A total loser. He doesn't have the capacity to run a country. This is the guy who talked to Armenians with a hammer. This is a guy you want to be your leader? Really? How many countries do you see their leader using hammer? So next segment, we're going to talk about how Armenians won the First War. All the disaster they were in, earthquake, the country declared independent. No gas, no fuel, they were burning woods. How did they win? They had no military. They had no equipment. The Russian came and yanked all the factories. They're burning trees to survive. Azerbaijan was killing Armenian. The Karabakh revolted, declared independent. The war was raging, but they win and they won. We're going to talk about that segment later. Pashinyan revolution was anti-diaspora, anti-Karabakh, anti-Armenian. People have to speak out. People have to expose this guy and his thugs behind him. We need to find out more. And diaspora have to start to speak out this kind of things. They just can't say, well, he won the election. But how he won the election, they don't want to talk about that. How Karabakh lost the war, they don't want to talk about that. How about this fake revolution? They don't want to talk about it. They want to hide it. Everything cover up. No. We're not going to cover up. We're going to tell the truth. And so help us. If you have information, more information about Pashinyan corruption, please send us. We speak freely. Armenian journalists now being suppressed in Armenia. Their cell phones are confiscated. They're making new laws. They can't do this, they can't do that. But at least we live in a free country. We can speak out, we can expose. So help us. All this corrupt election stuff, dictator always win. Democracy is dictators' favorite tools. No dictator lose election, neither in Belarus, neither in Azerbaijan or in Turkey. They don't lose. Saddam Hussein never lost the election for 35 years. They never lose. They corrupt the system. They know how to do it and prove it to the world. You see, people voted for me. This was a corrupt election. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. This is our point of view and enemy within Armenia. And he now saying, oh, let's unite. How could you unite a country when the country leader is a divider? You can't. There is no way you could do that. This man in the middle, he came with agenda and he destroyed Armenian